Hello, my name is Scuria-Herman, and today I'll be speaking on the topic of generalizations. Now, this is an idea that I've considered doing for a while. As with all of these, I at first don't believe that there's much to say about this, and I just have a little snippet, but then somehow it becomes 10 minutes, so we'll just see how this goes. But the thing with generalizations, first off, generalizations, in my mind, the working definition, the operative definition that I'm going to be going with for this video, is applying a narrative to an entire group, whether that group be people, things, actions, concepts. Regardless of what the thing is, it's a group or subset of something larger. And in doing so, you are minimizing the sort of differences within that group or subset because you are sort of applying the same narrative to all parts of it, saying like all blank are blank. Like, I think that I'm trying to think of an example of a generalization that I would agree with. I don't think there's any generalization that is ever going to be true, because if you say even like all skies are blue, I think even something of that sort, you don't know all skies. There could be skies that are different colors. I'm pretty sure there are skies that are different colors. I don't think Mars's sky is blue. It's stuff like that. So it's really, I don't think personally it's ever apt to use generalizations. I think that it is always minimizing something. Even if it is a majority, I think that making it seem like it is unanimous, making it seem like it is an entirety of a population, I think is disingenuous to the point you're trying to make. I think that's also where stereotypes come from, where sort of discrimination comes from, because of these ideas held about a certain minor facet or completely fabricated facet of a group of people applied to all of the group of people, the entirety of them. And I think that generalizations like that are a part of speech that don't really have a use in regular conversation. There is use for them in characterization. If you're trying to display a character that has a certain viewpoint, then it could be useful to have them go like, oh yeah, all strawberries are disgusting, if you want to display that character's opinion about strawberries. But something needs to be, a generalization like that needs to be more extreme, in my opinion, because it needs to have an immediate like retribution, sort of. It needs to have an immediate disapproval. It needs to be immediately countered in order to sort of understand, because a lot of the times when I write, a lot of people think that no matter what I write, I agree with every character, which is ridiculous because a lot of the characters I write are villains, because that's how stories work. So it is something that I've had to do, and I think I'm just going to make it part of my writing style, that whenever someone brings up a point that is wrong, even though like no point is wrong, but whenever someone brings up a point that the reader is supposed to think is wrong, I don't want to let it sit, because every single one of my readers, when I let it sit, has expressed distaste and dissatisfaction with that, saying that, oh yes, that is, I don't know why you'd present an idea like that. I think that this reflects badly upon you. What I think I need to do in the future is just, if someone says like, oh yeah, I hate, such and such because such and such, all such and such is such and such, I think I immediately have to have like a counter to that, because I'm working on this choose your adventure story with a painter who blah blah blah. I'm not gonna spoil the whole plot, but there's a point where he is talking to, in the scene that he dies in, it's not really a spoiler, it's the second scene, but a second chapter, sorry, but he's talking to like the main villain, and the main villain, the concept of race gets brought up, which obviously race and generalizations go hand in hand, as I was talking about stereotypes, and the villain character says like, oh yes, white people are the superior race. I've had people read that part and say, you know, you should really rephrase that because that's giving the wrong idea to the reader. The next line, even in the first draft of that, from the main character, the protagonist, was, no, that's ridiculous, what are you talking about? There is no such thing as a superior race. Even if I'm writing that, a generalization like that is, you know, frowned upon, and it reflects poorly upon me. I don't necessarily think I'm going to remove that line. I might have to, just because of the negative reaction it receives. Even though I'm trying to display how bad of a character this is, people really don't see it that way. Outside of a literary context, they are kind of just useless, and they kind of detract from any conversation or interaction that they're used in because of that reaction. Because regardless of whether or not you believe it, whether or not you believe like, oh yes, literally every single member of this group is this descriptor I'm putting on them. I'm trying to think of a generalization example. I guess like all cops are bad is one, but there is like a different meaning behind that. It's just, again, the meaning gets disrupted by the motto, which is the whole problem with the generalizations, is that you sort of obscure your sort of messaging with that. You know, a lot of cops are performing great abuses of power. Even if that's the case, it's not all of them, and it kind of diminishes your point when you do that. Because, again, even if a villain character has a monologue about being racist, that reflects poorly upon you as a person. That's what I've learned. So there's not really a good case to use a generalization in any context. I mean, I would say that's my opinion. It's my summation of life events that I've experienced, is generalizations like that are sort of never going to go over well. And I think generalizations in general shouldn't be used. Which I guess is a generalization. But even then there is the exception, which is why the generalization doesn't work. The exception of using them in a literary context to show an opinionated character or like a misled character. I think that that's a good use for them. But outside of that, because even in like scientific law, they never use generalizations. Even if like theory of gravity, it's not a law anymore. The proper terminology for it is theory of gravity, because they can't prove it's always the case. Generalizations are simply an anomaly and are useless in most cases. It is funny because throughout this video, I bet that I've used multiple generalizations that I haven't immediately called myself out on and like taken back, or have make a point, and I just did that unconsciously because that's how parts of speech work. You know, when I'm speaking, I just happens that way, and even if it's unintentional. So generalizations can never be wholly frowned upon because that's a generalization in and of itself. You can't say all generalizations are bad without making a generalization. So, you know, it's complicated. It's a complicated situation, but I would avoid using generalizations in general. That's my take on it. I did bring up some contentious political causes. I hope that didn't detract from the video. I was going to try to avoid that, but I think that when people think of generalizations, that's usually where their mind goes, so I don't think that there's a point to avoiding saying that. I didn't really express my opinions on any of those causes. I think that when people take bad actions, that a negative response to it is understandable, if not to be expected. And I don't think you should really blame someone speaking out against something bad, even if it's wrong. But I'm saying in general that generalization should be used. But anyway, that's all I have to say about that. If you have any thoughts about generalizations, let me know down below. But for today, that's going to be all from me. So until next time, adieu.